Hey everyone, and welcome to the Defining Your Life podcast, where we focus on living in our purpose, practicing presence, and activating our power in each moment. I'm Marsharelle, your resident pep talk provider, and I invite you to join me as we continue to learn, lift each other up, and strive to level up together. Because we are never finished defining our lives, and it takes a village, so let's build one. Stay tuned for the episode. Hey everyone, I hope that y'all are doing well and that you are in the groove of the season, not just weather-wise, but with pace and expectations also. This is really proving to be a busy season for me already, work-wise and in my personal life, and I'm really just doing my best to keep a handle on all of it. In the past, I have found that when things get busy and I get overwhelmed, it's just easy to let something go, right? Even the things that I want to hold on to, because maybe I was unable to figure out how to make space for those things. But at the root of it was often time management, which is one of the reasons why I was prompted several weeks ago to talk about project management. Because often we do have time, right? It just may not be as convenient as we would like it to be, or we have to put in a bit more effort to make it feasible. And I'm not talking about stretching to the point of discomfort, but managing yourself so that your obligations, tasks, and events don't manage you, because they will take over quickly. What I have found most recently is that by removing some of the expectations that I set for myself in regard to said tasks and obligations, it has really allowed me the ability to keep moving forward, one step at a time. That's how I've been trying to handle things, simply one step at a time. And it keeps the anxiousness at bay for me a bit, because the minute I start to jump 10 steps ahead, the worrier in me comes out, the anxiety is on 1,000, and then I'm unable to see beyond that. But by doing a little at a time, you see some success, you're motivated, and before you know it, that little becomes a lot. And so I'm trying to consistently tap into that motivational drive that I can fuel by doing a little and a little and a little, instead of looking at all that I'm trying to achieve or need to get done and trying to do it all at the same time, thereby invoking the anxiety. And that brings me to what I want to chat about today, which is what I'll call the partnership between patience and persistence. In many instances, two things can be true. Something can be delicious, but terrible for you. You can hate your job, but love that money. And you can not know how to swim, but love the beach and large bodies of water. I'll call that living on the edge, and I'm guilty. But you can certainly remain patient while you're being persistent. Persistence will get you places patience on its own will not. But in most instances, you are better suited if you come dressed in patience rather than anxiousness while you persist. Anxiousness, no matter how small of a stir it may be inside of you, can cause you to make irrational decisions, or, just not the best possible decision that you could have made in a situation because you weren't settled and patient enough to see the full picture or all of the options that were actually available to you. Anxiousness will cause you to take the first deal that comes along or concede without negotiation because you're too worried nothing better is coming down the pipeline. And while that could be the case, did you allow any space to be able to step back and look at the options that were available to you before assuming that the first deal had to be a done deal? Or maybe you move anxiously because you don't trust yourself to make a sound decision if you sit with something for too long. Well, I'd like to remind you that patience and persistence work together for good. There's a reason why patience is considered a virtue, and there's a reason why persistence delivers results. The two together, though, are a powerhouse that gracefully balance one another. So, how will you apply the pressure of persistence while waiting patiently for the result of whatever it is you are pursuing? I'll share a few of my thoughts on what I find to be useful, but I would love to hear from all of you this week how you have been or intend to apply that pressure. First and foremost, don't be hasty, okay? Use strategy, because being strategic allows you to focus all of that anxious energy on a plan. This is a lesson that I am struggling to learn, but working on it nonetheless. The strategy and the planning takes away some of the unsure feelings you may be experiencing because you've mapped things out. You've provided yourself maybe a visual and some action steps, a clear path to walk where you may have anticipated different outcomes, right? But then you're prepared, so you don't have to be so anxious about them. Strategy also really encourages healthy persistence because you've structured a plan that leads you to take consistent action toward your goal. Remember micro goals, right? They allow you to hone in on specific aspects and tackle them individually outside of the larger goal. By tightening that scope, you don't have as much room to wander in your anxiousness. Next, breathe and reflect intentionally. Breathing is a pause. Sometimes you have to pause to take in your surroundings and get the full picture. If your head stays down in the weeds, all you're ever going to see are weeds. So come up for some air and breathe and reflect. Focus your thoughts and think about what it is that you're trying to tame, achieve, and overcome on your path. A pause to allow yourself a clear thought can change everything. And finally, at least for today, because y'all know there's more, work hard, but without worry and fear. Because if you put in the work, the results will show in due time. And there is no need to worry about or fear what you are called to do, because it's your thing to do. So just do it. I often think of how, as a young person, even though I wish that I'd done it more, I just did things and I went after what I wanted. I wasn't free falling or anything like that. And there were definitely so many more things I could have done, but I went after what was mine more willingly. But then my patience wavered and my anxiousness took over, and I fell too far into the reality of adulthood, turning away from some of the things I was pursuing prematurely. But thankfully, now that I'm a bit older and wiser, I'm on the road to recovery, and it's not too late for you either. I'd like to share a couple of Bible verses with you today from the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verses 6 and 7. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. These verses 100% sum up how patience and persistence work together. Be patient, laying in wait without being anxious about the when or the how, but be persistent in your request by being diligent in your petition, sharing and praying for your request, never letting up, but channeling the spirit of patience in the process. I'm encouraged by that, knowing that I can diligently pursue my desires and knowing that I can trust that my needs will be met without the need for anxiousness, because you just can't control everything. Sometimes all you can do is pray and petition, right? Especially during those hours of wait when anxiousness is determined to take over. But don't fall prey to it. After all, I can only speak from my experience in that being anxious has never sped up the process for anything at all in my life. I have to remind myself of that regularly. So be anxious for nothing, but be persistent about what's in your heart, listening and waiting patiently for direction, answers, and results, and trust that they will come. Thanks so much for listening today. If what you've been hearing has been beneficial, please do share, review, and follow the pod. I can't wait to chat with you all again next week. Take care until then.